Ugh, all right, let's just address the elephant in the room, so to speak, right? I already sound like crap, which, I mean, I normally do kind of anyway, but I'm more so right now because I'm fighting a head cold. But I can't put off working on this anymore. It's already been over a week now, between my kids being sick. Luckily, Mrs. Shoprat hasn't got sick. Thank God she's been able to, take care of them. But between them being sick, my family shop's still busy. Christmas, Merry Christmas, by the way. Just everything going on. I've already put too much time off, and parts are starting to roll in. I have radiators come in, and a few other things have come in, so need to get crack-a-lacking, right? Just got to get this ball rolling more than I already have. So, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so last time we got the carburetor off, and then we got the radiator out of the way, the fan shroud, all that fun stuff. Fan was already off, so that helps us out a little bit. And there isn't a whole lot else really to take off. One of the things I didn't show is I got some of the old wiring unhooked, the old generator. Remember, this was originally 6 volts, so it didn't have an alternator, it has a generator, which we're going to convert. And the last thing to do really before we get the motor out is just get the exhaust unhooked. Since it's a crossover, the old Y blocks, just got to take the exhaust off there, 2 bolts up front. I think it's 6 bolts in the bell housing. And yeah, that's it. There wasn't a whole lot really to taking these things out. Pretty simple stuff. I do need to get the hood off still before I pull the motor because it's tight like a toiga. But yeah, we need to get that out. Get that out of the way. Excuse me, I'll have to have somebody come in and help me because I don't want to damage the hood. I already have, some repairs to make because it was typical for these things to break loose right here. Both sides have started to do it, so I need to get that off. And then we'll probably have the motor out today. That's what I'm hoping for. So, gonna get the camera set up. Don't know how much of it I'll actually show doing, but we'll get it out. That way we can start tearing this thing down and get an idea if we're actually going to be able to use this motor or if we're going to have to go to one of the backups that we have laying over here in the corner. So, I'm going to shut up now, and it's time to get to work. So, hood is off, as you can see. Got the exhaust off down there. Wasn't much exhaust, wasn't much holding it on really, but it's off. Front motor mount bolts all the way. Oh, there goes the light. Anyway, front motor mount bolts, right, they are out. And then it's just 6 bell housing bolts, and this thing will be pretty much ready to pull out, if I'm not mistaken. Only a handful of wires that go to it. The linkages up there for the carb, they're all off. I need to kind of zip tie them or something out of the way. And then the wire for the starter just, it kind of just fell off. So there's that. So we'll get the bell housing bolts off, get them out, get a chain on it, get the engine hoist hooked up. We'll see if we can't get this thing out of here today. Now that I got the flywheel and the clutch out of the way, I think we're gonna go ahead and while this thing's down low so it isn't making a huge mess, splattering everywhere, we'll get the floor cleaned up a little bit, get the dirt out of the way. We'll get a drain pan under it, drain that 2 gallon or however many gallons. I don't know if there's any oil in the motor or not. I doubt it since it was seized. I don't know what's in it. But I know there's about 2 gallons of PB Blaster in there, and I want to get that out. So we'll get the drain pan under it, get all that cleaned up, and we'll see what we got. Hopefully get this thing on the engine stand and start disassembling. Disassemble, no disassemble. All right. So as you probably saw, I made a big mess. Nothing to break clean, can't clean up, take care of, not a big deal, right? So I got all that cleaned up, and while I was waiting for everything to dry, I noticed that it was kind of still dark in here. I've been meaning to put these lights up, so I went ahead and put them up. But that took a lot longer than it should have, because then Alex Johnson stopped by, and he wanted to talk about the truck and the progress and the parts coming in. And you don't know that name because in the last video I didn't mention, but that's Scott Johnson's brother. Another grandson or grandchild of William Lee Whitaker, their mother, of course, being Lisa Johnson. Again, like I keep saying, this is a family owned and operated business. Alex is in the plant, kind of running the show in there, helping his brother, helping his mom. And even their sister, I think, comes out and knows how to hook up a 3-point hitch to work the tractors if she has to. And she's studying to be a doctor. So again, it really is a family owned and operated business here in the area. But all that being said, after I got done talking to him, that's now dry, and we can now put that engine on that motor stand, which I'm pretty sure is older than I am. Actually, I know it is because I remember as a kid my uncle building motors on that one back in his dirt track days. Anyway, it's time to get that motor up on there so we can start tearing it down and see what we got, if we have anything to use at all. If not, there's a much bigger Y block hidden behind me, in which I will be doing some fun stuff too, if the original motor doesn't work out. So I'm torn, because I want the original motor to work out because it's original to the truck. But at the same time, the horsepower junkie in me is like, use the bigger motor and aluminum intake and cam and aluminum heads, because there is somebody that actually makes aluminum heads for these things. Yeah, let's do that. But the only way I'm doing that is if the original motor doesn't work. So we got to see what we got here first. So without further ado, I'm going to shut up and get back to work. On that depressing note, yeah, I think I'm done for this evening. It's about 10 o'clock and the news was just released that the great late Ken Block has passed away. Condolences to his family. He was definitely a badass, a legend, motorsports legend. I say motorsports because he did everything. And he was good at almost everything. Anyway, let's get to the motor real quick before I shut down for the night. So, 1 second. We have partially torn down motor. Valve cover's off. This thing's a filthy mess. Normally I wouldn't tear a motor down this way. I would get it much cleaner than this tearing it down, but I'm 50-50 whether we have anything to work with. Won't know until I get it tore down further. Obviously valve cover's off. Looking at the rocker assembly, it's gunky. That's a mess down in there. Got the intake off. You can, I don't know if the camera's gonna pick that up or not. You can see the rust down in there. Down in, that's one of the intake runners, obviously. So, which normally that wouldn't bother me actually. That's not a huge deal, especially for how long this thing's been sitting. The true test, as most people know that's ever built a motor or dealt with anything that's set for a long time like this, is you get the heads off. Really it's the cam and the crank. You can still get cams, I think, for these. I know if it was a 239 flathead, I know there's a bunch of aftermarket cams. I'm sure somebody makes aftermarket cams for the Y block. I'm not sure about the 239 Y block. I know there's some guys out in California that make aluminum intakes for these Y blocks, but it's only for the bigger displacements. I don't think they make it. They say it won't fit the 239 Y block because something about the intake. I think either the runners or the layout of how the intake was slightly smaller, and it creates a bad vacuum leak because it doesn't seal up properly. They have aluminum intake for it, again, aluminum heads, but that's only for the bigger displacement. So that's one of the reasons I want to get this tore apart, because, you know, trying to find another crank and all that fun stuff to match up to the first, you know, the specs for the original motor might be pain. I'm not sure. Haven't done one of these in a while. You know, again, going through this and just trying to figure out what we got here, because if not, again, over here they've been tucked away, just laying around. There's one of the big ones. There's one of the big ones. Yeah, so if we don't use this guy, we're going to use that bigger feller, and then we will use an aluminum intake, and then we will get a cam and all that fun stuff. But again, trying to save the original motor. So we're going to try to do that, see where we get. Like I said, it's almost 10 o'clock, and I'm starting to feel it. So we'll get out of here, because I got to be at work in the morning, like normal work, not this work. This is a different work. And yeah. So we'll have to do that and get that done. Again, I appreciate y'all tuning in. Like, subscribe, comment, or not. Entirely up to you, but it helps if you do, obviously. If you want to see more stuff like this, let me know. If you want to know more history-based stuff on the old Fords, let me know. If you want to know how to rebuild one of these Y-blocks, let me know. There's guys that are better at rebuilding these Y-blocks, I'll let you know that right up front than I am. But hey, we'll go over that if you want to. You know, I'm an equal opportunity type of person, try to be. Or do you want to know more about Shawnee Springs? Comment down below. Hey, we'll try to help you out, let you know anything you want to know. But I'm going to stop rambling. Make sure you visit shop.metalworks.com though. I would appreciate that as well. We'll try to get the blog page set up on there for this build. Give me a couple more weeks. You know, holidays are over and I'm able to really focus on this. Mrs. Shop Rat's Jeep's very close to being done. Very, very close. So, and we'll probably do a little video on that once it's done. But appreciate y'all tuning in. It's time for me to go.